I look upon a barren wasteland and dream of a paradise. It won't look much, just a house made with whatever I can buy or scavenge, but it will be warm, even in the coldest winter. It will have hydroponic farms and groundwater, so we won't ever have to worry about survival. There will be a garden encased in a glass dome, a little splash of green in the middle of all this gray. An oak tree will grow in the middle, surrounded by beds of flowers. She always wanted a place like that to read her books. This little paradise will be our home. A spark of light in the middle of all this desolate land. Building it won't be easy, but I'm used to hardship. From the beginning, I knew that life was going to be hard. Such was the destiny of being born on this dying earth. Yet I was content with that life. Content to be in that little garage, doing my little part every day. Content to just survive until sickness or, hopefully, old age claims me. Then she burst into my garage in the middle of the night and broke the calm that was my life. Anna was her name. She was a refugee from a distant, devastated land. 1,000 had come to the tunnel city of Sanctum, but only 200 were accepted as residents. The rest were fed, given some supplies, and made clear that they eventually had to leave. Anna and a dozen others had pooled their resources to buy a rover from the garage next door. They had planned to go to Chihaya, thinking a city 10 times the size could give them refuge. They had barely made 5 miles when the wheels of their rover came off. It took them 2 hours to trek back with their survival suits. I wasn't that surprised. Clark was a competent mechanic, but he tended to take one too many shortcuts with his repairs. So, here she was, in the only garage that was open at night, desperately asking me to fix her rover. I told her I would need to have the rover towed back for repair, and that had to wait until morning. I assured her that the mayor was not a psychopath who would execute them just because they had overstayed a day, especially since it was clear they had tried their best to leave. "Stay in the hotel tonight," I suggested. "Tomorrow, I will fix your rover. You'll be on your way to Chihaya soon enough." Tomorrow came and went, and they were still in Sanctum. A trade convoy had arrived at dawn, bringing news of a coming snowstorm. With all departures put on hold, Anna and her group had to stay put. The universe had conspired to push us together, we would lament years later. The next night, Anna dropped by the shop, frayed, dry hair and fidgeting fingers. The delay had allowed her time to think about the journey ahead and its potential dangers.
What if I make the wrong decision and someone dies because of it? What if I'm the wrong person to lead them to Chihaya?
That night, the fierce woman had melted away, revealing the gentle woman underneath, so terrified and so filled with doubts. So, we took a walk on the empty tunnel road, talking about how to maintain the rover and how best to reach Chihaya. But after an hour, the discussion shifted to anything but that. She told me about the lake where her town had been built around, and how often she swam there after school.
I would often come home with fresh fish for supper. Life was well then.
I told her about the road between the 5th and 6th mile, how the builders had made an error and ended up creating the perfect slope angle for sleds. I would often come home with scrapes and bruises. Life was fun then. She told me about the first days of freezing, how the lake froze over and the land dried up.
It's just winter, my father had said. It will pass and we will have our summer back. The winter never ended, and the summer never came again. From that day on, life became harsh.
I told her about the day of darkness, when Sanctum's geothermal reactor failed and the city was plunged into the dark. I was 10 years old then, and scared in so many ways. "Don't you worry, dear," my mother had said. "I'll fix it up in no time. When you wake up, there'll be light." When I woke up the next morning, there was light. But I never saw my mother again. She had gone into the reactor and never came out. From that day on, life was never the same. And so it continued. Every night, we took a walk and shared glimpses of each other's lives. By the end of the week, as the snowstorm waned, not even the mayor could have stopped me from going with her. I was no longer content with this lonesome life of mine. A year later, on one rainy day, she asked me,
If you had known what was coming, would you still choose to come with me that day?
"Absolutely," I answered with all the conviction my heart could muster. The fever came when we were halfway to Chihaya. I thought nothing of it then. She had worked so hard to prepare for this journey after all. This was just the exhaustion catching up with her. It was only when we were in Chihaya, when we went to see the doctor, that the severity of the situation was revealed to us. Anna had a sickness, the doctor said. He had tried to explain what it was, but I barely understood it. Something about her genetic and radiation-induced mutation. He did make the implication clear, though, that Anna's nervous system would gradually deteriorate until her body couldn't function. That there was no cure. Just like that, the happy ending we thought we had was shattered. 5 years. That's how long she had left. We tried to pretend like it didn't matter. We just live our lives like normal, we thought, but the sickness was like the dark, cloudy sky above, never relenting and constantly shadowing us. After just a month, she had enough.
Henry, I want to see the wonder and beauty of this earth before it's too late.
I indulged her with the condition that we also searched for a way to cure her. "This world is vast," I said to her then. "There has to be someone with the right tool and knowledge to cure you." So began our journey across the land. The Vegas Desert was our first stop. Glimmering with its sand dunes, hundreds of archaeologists had gathered there to slowly unearth the secrets of the buried city. With her help, we searched through the old medical database. There was a reference to a sickness like Anna's, but the machines needed to build the cure no longer existed. Before we left, Anna dragged me to the top of the tallest sand dune. On a surfboard that had a worrying amount of duct tape, we launched off the peak. Anna laughed all the way down while I screamed for my life. Anna wanted to go up again, but that was when the first sign of the sickness revealed itself. Anna's hands were trembling so much that there was no way she could hold on to the board anymore.
Oh well, once was enough anyway.
She shrugged it off, but I knew it bothered her. Still, I said nothing while we drove off. What was the point in acknowledging it? Better to focus on finding the cure. Nothing else mattered. We went to the cliffside city of Mount Elbert next. There, on the campus of the last university in the land, 100 doctors and researchers endeavored to regain the lost knowledge of the ancestors. When we arrived, they had already rediscovered neurosurgery and a dozen different life-saving drugs. If there was anyone in this world who could cure her, they must be here. For 2 months, the doctors took on the puzzle that was Anna's sickness. One by one, they all shook their heads and left, except for one. I don't think I can cure her, but I can keep her alive, Dr. Allister proclaimed as he led us deeper into the hospital. Tucked between the operating room and the intensive care unit was a small room enclosed in thick isolation glass walls. Next to the bed was this arcane-looking machine. It was a cardiopulmonary bypass machine, he explained. Artificial lungs and heart that can breathe and circulate blood for her when her own lungs and heart failed.
I will be trapped in this room. Tubes sticking out of me like some science experiment.
But you will be alive.
What is this life if not to live through its wonderful moments? To walk across the land and watch the sunset shining through the dark sky. To see the sand dunes glimmering under the sun. To touch the blue ice that is our ocean and to... No, Henry. I'll be alive, but I won't be living.
So we thanked the doctor and packed our things. Before we left, Anna insisted we rode the elevator to the peak. There, with her head on my shoulder, we watched the sun rise over the horizon, setting the mountains ablaze with its light. For the first time in my life, I realized how big the world was. We visited more enclaves and towns. We consulted with hundreds of scientists and archaeologists, each one brilliant in their own way. And none of them had the answer. Meanwhile, Anna's condition worsened with each passing day. The stumbles and slips soon became a permanent limp. The coughs and wheezes soon became a constant strained breathing. It had only been a year since we left Chaya. Still, we continued our way north. When the road became too rough for our rover, we switched to a boat. When the ocean's ice became too thick, we found an airship, this balloon-like vessel, to continue further. We eventually reached a small fishing town called Anchor Point. There were no skilled doctors here, nor any relic of the ancestors. But there was the last flock of penguins. Hundreds of them walked along the glacier ice, oblivious to the decaying world around them. Anna, despite her limp and the cold burning her lungs, managed to approach one of them. I will never forget that smile when her finger touched it.
Thank you, Henry, for giving me this memory.
After that, we went across the ocean and gazed upon the ghost cities of the ancestors. The pristine concrete and steel buildings that still towered over the land. The cars and trains that were still in the middle of the roads and tracks. The cities were like a window into the past.
Henry, we can't go there. You heard what they said. The shadows are there.
Shadow monsters that turn any living being to dust. Oh, don't tell me you actually believe them.
Look at the cities. Why are they still empty after 200 years?
The cure is there. I'm sure of it.
I won't risk your life for mine.
All right. Let's go south then. I heard they are building something big in Singapore. Perhaps something that can help. Here. Sit.
Thank you.
Let's go home.
What? No, I can still continue on.
You're getting worse with every mile we travel. If we continue on, you won't last another year, Anne.
I just need a bit of rest. Tomorrow I'll be better. You'll see.
Tell me that you believe there's a cure out there. Tell me that, and we'll continue.
It was never about finding a cure, Henry. That was your wish, not mine.
You never believed there was a cure.
Look at this broken world. Do you really think we can have a happy ending here?
If we're not fighting for a happy ending, then what are we doing here?
I thought if we make enough good memories, it'll hurt less in the end. For both of us.
Let's go home.
So I'll die a bit slower? What's the point in that?
So we'll have more memories together. Life isn't just about the adventures, Anne. It's about the small moments as well. To hold your hand as we watch the sun set. To have your head on my shoulder as you fall asleep. To hear your voice every time I wake up. Those memories won't be as grand as crossing the frozen ocean or seeing the last flock of penguins, but they are just as precious. If not more.
Do you really believe that?
Absolutely.
I think... yeah. I think I like that very much.
And so, 2 years after we set out, we went home. So on that hill, looking down at this barren land, I dream of a paradise. A home for us.
Thank you for watching. Every time I finish my story video, I always feel butterflies in my heart. However, these videos are not cheap to make, and I'd be lying if I said they don't strain my financial capability. Please support me through Patreon so I may continue making more story videos like this. Link in the description.